Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. This edition is sponsored in part by UCare, the High School for Recording Arts, and the Children's Theater Company. Here's a fact. Native-born African-American males consistently perform at the bottom or nearly all performance indicators in the Minneapolis public schools. Thank you for joining us on this episode as we spotlight the need and the programs that create options for educating our communities right here on Urban Perspectives. My first guest is a product of the Minneapolis Public Schools with an undergraduate degree in physical education and a master's degree in education. He brings a career focus on youth development and helping Black youth achieve success. In 2014, he was named the director of the Black Male Student Achievement for the Minneapolis Public Schools. Here's a look at Michael Walker and the program now he directs.
In July of 2014, Minneapolis Public Schools opened the Office of Black Male Student Achievement with the goal of changing the trajectory for all Black males. Through the strategic plan, Acceleration 2020 OBMA is aligned with the goals of improved student outcomes, equity, and family and community partnerships.
Thank you, Michael, for being here with us on this edition as we talk about educating our young people in our community. You have a long history of doing just that, so we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Speaking of which, we'll want to start out by simply asking you, what is the Black Male Achievement Program all about? You've been in the school system, you've had experience with the students over the years. What is the program's goals?
Well, basic information is that we're trying to change the outcomes for our Black males. As you stated in the beginning of the episode, you said that our Black males are performing at the bottom of nearly all academic success indicators, and our job is to change that trajectory for our Black males. And so we do a lot of different things to try to support that.
Now, what is your experience, Michael, in just the overall males and preparing them, and how have you, your experience, life experiences and experience in school helped you?
Well, that's a big question and a lot of information I can provide for that, but just to kind of keep it brief, obviously I went through the Minneapolis public school system, so I understand some of the issues that our young men are facing on a daily basis. Right. But I also understand that it's a new age and new time, that they have some different issues that I didn't have to experience when I was going through schooling. And so I make sure that we have the young people at the center of everything that we do when we're making decisions about the young people. In our first 100 days of creating this office, we did a listening tour. And that tour is about finding out what it is we exactly need to accomplish throughout this office. I didn't want to start off the work by just creating programs or initiatives by myself. I want to have the voice of the people involved in this process.
So important.
Yes, very.
Really important. Now, you know that the racial disparities continue to persist in Minneapolis. How will this new program differ from the other programs that already have happened, and gone?
You know, that's also a great question. We have to remember that it's not something about just being new, it's about what are we going to focus on.
Right.
I think the important piece is that we know that all students need to feel valued, all students need to feel respected, and all students need to have a space where they can make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And I think we're going to highlight that in our program, where we allow students to feel valued and they have a connection to what's going on in the school system, and they have a voice in that process.
I noticed that I saw you speak at another program recently, and you talked about how you approach and what do you call the students, kings?
Yes, we call the young men kings.
And why is that so important?
Well, it is. We want to do positive affirmations, right? We want them to live and be what they can ultimately become. And if we don't use that language towards them, too often we hear negative terms used for our young men. And so we want to be something that's positive with them. So we use that terminology, kings. It also has roots back in Africa, where we were kings and queens and where we come from.
Exactly.
We want to try to show our students that there's a history before we came to this continent.
Yeah, make them stick their chests out, feel better about themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. So is the program available in all Minneapolis public schools, and how will candidates be found, and how do they, the requirements?
Well, that's a great question. We have roughly around 4,800 Black male students in the Minneapolis public schools.
Yeah.
And we don't have a really big office. We're just starting up. Excuse me, we're just starting up. And so right now we're piloting our program at 4 high schools and 4 middle schools.
Oh, okay, great. So now the program has, when they picked you, What were your feelings, Michael, when they said, hey, look, we have confidence in what you can do and bring to the table? How did you feel about it? How has it changed you?
Well, I was definitely humbled by the gesture for Minneapolis Public Schools selecting me for this opportunity. As I tell people a lot, my goal has always been to work alongside with the young people and giving them opportunities and experiences in life. And so I just want to bring that to the office. You know, it's not about putting Michael Walker in front. It's about an entire community getting behind this initiative and efforts. And it's going to take more than just the Office of Black Male Student Achievement, which is why it was so important for us to start our program off by going out and listening to those educators, listening to the community and families, as well as listening to those young black kings that we have in our school system.
That's so great, Michael. Now, how can the community help? Because we need to be able to do something to help prop you up, because I'm sure there's naysayers out there. How can we help?
Well, the thing is, you know, we're still so new. You know, we've been in existence for 13 months, and so we don't have everything solidified. You know, that's the one piece. But to start off, I would say that we need real models. I know people use the term role models, but I like to use the term real models. And to me, that's people that they can see every single day who's doing it the right way, who are having jobs, who are taking care of their families, who are professionals in the community, so that they can ask these questions that they may not be able to ask people in the regular day in life. So I want to make sure that the community is part of what we're doing. And so right now it's about coming into our schools and maybe sharing your story, because sometimes our students don't understand or know that you may have had some trials and tribulations to get to the place that you've been at. They just see you as being this host of a TV show, right?
Exactly.
And not knowing that, hey, I had some bumps and bruises to get through in order to get to this space. And so how do we let them see that they can still make it out of their current situation if they stick to it?
Well, we wish you all the best, Michael, and we've got you back here, so bring one down. We'll show them around, and as well, let them know how hard the bumps were coming up as well. And it takes a strong constitution in terms of wanting to do something to make it happen. I think they got the right person in place, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Michael Walker, Gary, Indiana.
That's right.
Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, we present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of the urban community. A shining star this week is an actor and dancer with Journey Productions. She has performed at theaters throughout the Twin Cities. Her credits include The Buddy Holly Story, For Colored Girls, Hairspray, and other productions. She's currently playing the lead character for the Children's Theater Company's world premiere stage version of Akeelah and the Bee. Meet our shining star, hometown talent, Johannah Easley.
My name is Johannah Easley. I play Akeelah Anderson in Akeelah and the Bee at Children's Theater Company in South Minneapolis. I actually danced before I did any acting, and my brother was big into acting when I was like growing up and stuff. And so he was on a stage and I was always on the director's hip. And then finally one day I just learned all the lines and I learned all the little dances that they were doing, and so she just put me on the stage one day. Akeelah in the movie versus the play, a lot of it you can go into like the camera can like go into their head and like you see what they're thinking about or how they're feeling, and it's a lot of like cut and paste. But in the play you see a lot more of what she's going through. Like in the movie it's mentioned that her father's dead, but you don't see how that impacts her family as much as you see in the movie. There's a lot more raw emotion coming from certain aspects of their family, the Andersons' background, and you see that a lot more on the stage than you do in the movie. This role is extremely important. It's not just, oh yeah, it's another show. It speaks a lot to people that look like us, and especially little girls, seeing a little black girl doing something important is important, you know? And it's a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, it's been a lot of fun through this whole process, so I'm pretty excited. This show will make you happy, it'll make you sad, you'll probably leave this show, most likely leave this show with a different view on how things are. And it's just a roller coaster, and it's not a bad roller coaster. It's a very interesting one, and it's amazing. Please come. I'm Johannah Easley. I play Akeelah Anderson in Akeelah and the Bee at Children's Theater Company in South Minneapolis, and you're watching Urban Perspectives.
Thank you, Johannah. When we return, see how the sense of belonging on a college campus is an important ingredient to the success being a student at a college campus for low-income families. Meet Seth Snyder from College Possible, Minnesota, next on Urban Perspectives.
What word spells you?
INTREPS.
P-I-D-I-T-Y, intrepidity, resolutely courageous.
S-T-A-L-W-A-R-T, stalwart, steadfast, and uncompromising.
P-A-S-S-I-O-N-A-T-E, passionate, showing a strong belief.
Proud,
represent,
assertive,
bodacious,
humble,
enthusiasm,
unique,
Ameliorate, to make great.
to be great. Aquila and the Bee.
Visit childrenstheater.org today.
When my youngest, Addie, was 2.5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. Everything seems very dark. Doesn't seem to be a lot of hope. Walking in that light, the night light, I couldn't help but contrast that to what it feels like to stand or to walk across a bridge at night with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. I know it's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer and fewer gold lanterns. To have all those people out there together holding lights, walking together, there was nobody there who was alone. Your lantern will make a difference. It will be a little brighter on that night because you and the team you created brought your lanterns.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
Everything about you, yeah, you are perfect to me. Everything.
This is the comeback. Comeback, comeback.
He will come. The weapon may fall.
Welcome back to Urban Perspective Spotlight on educating our communities. My next guest is the Director of College Success at College Possible, Minnesota. His experience in admissions at the College of St. Benedict's and St. John's University, as well as student affairs at Stanford University, along with his doctoral work at the University of Minnesota in higher education, leadership, and policies, give him a first-hand knowledge of student needs. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Seth Synder. Seth, how you doing?
Great, thanks for having me, Pete.
A lot of college stuff there.
A lot of college stuff, yeah.
It's so important, though. I was talking with, we had heard a report about you guys on one of our local stations and felt it important to sit down with you and talk about College Possible Minnesota and what it does. So can you explain to the audience what College Possible Programs is, and as well, what are your duties as the Director of College Success?
Sure. So College Possible is a nonprofit. It was formed here in Minnesota. We started in the St. Paul and Minneapolis public schools 15 years ago. And we work with about 2,000 students now in the Twin Cities. And our hands-on coaching and mentoring is done by AmeriCorps folks. So we have a cohort of about 100 every year. And they coach students with great ability from low-income families, most of whom want to be the first in their families to go to college. We support them from their junior year of high school until they finish their bachelor's degree. So we have just over 2,000 high school students and over 4,500 college students now who've come out of the Twin Cities high schools.
That's fantastic. Now, how do students find out about it and become engaged with the program?
Yeah, they typically find out and apply for our program as sophomores in high school. And we're in 25 high schools in the Twin Cities. So now high school sophomores apply, they join the program in the fall of their junior year. They either typically learn about us from an older friend, a sibling, cousin, or they're referred to us by a counselor or a teacher. And they join us for sessions a couple times a week as a high school student, and then our coaches support them either through technology or on campus on certain campuses where we have a lot of our students, again, through the bachelor's completion.
That's great. Now, your research tells you, and you said that the feeling of belonging there is important to the success being there as well. So how can you explain that? How is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that from the idea of humanity and human development, you have to find a sense of belonging, a sense of community in order to get to the higher things like learning and really moving forward and progressing as a person. And as a college student, often folks from low-income families struggle at first feeling like they belong because many of their peers have parents with degrees and families with longer educational backgrounds. So it's really important that students find a sense of belonging, they find their own community, not only at home but on that college campus,
And something we do really intentionally through our coaches is help our students connect with those pieces of the campus and the college experience that really speak to them as people, that help them find their passions and find their place there.
Yeah, I can see how it is. You know, you're there, your other friends have their brothers and sisters have already graduated. They may even went to the college. And you kind of start thinking to yourself, do I really belong here? Am I good enough for it? So, and trying to go through that process, helping them to navigate that process is important.
Yeah, and our students are all very talented. They're great students. They're hardworking. They have as much talent as anybody around. We have great success over the years. 98% of our high school kids have gained access to college, gained admission. And our college graduation rates for our students are the same as the national average for all students of all income backgrounds.
That's great.
And we feel like that sense of belonging is a really important piece of that, of being that constant support for students and saying, you know, if you're having a rough spot, we've been through that before. So our coaches are all young college grads themselves, so they're that near peer model saying, I just did it myself, I know you can do it, and here's the way.
Yeah. So is the program free? And what colleges and universities does College Possible partner with to create the relationships for the students?
Yeah, the program is absolutely free for the students. There's never a penny of charge to any of them. Anywhere from 4 to 8 years of time with us. We're happy to serve them the whole way through. And we have a number of college partners that help us really keep the program afloat and help us grow, because we're always growing. We have a larger number of high school students, which of course translates to larger college numbers every year. And we have about 30 colleges here around Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and the Dakotas who help support our students by sponsoring campus visits and helping support them by actually intentionally recruiting them as well. Because we know often students without that family experience of higher ed don't always feel comfortable getting to a campus. They don't know how to access the place. They're not as familiar with the process of admission. So we reach those partners to help us get more of our students to campus, help them feel more comfortable and see themselves as college students and college grads, and help build that connection.
I remember my first running around the campus and trying to find a building that I need to go into. So things like that are so important. What advice, you have been through this, what advice would you give, Seth, to a student to help them successfully transition into the college environment if you were talking one-on-one?
Talking one-on-one, I would say the first thing is to find points of connection. You know, find a student club, find an organization, find something that speaks to your passions, and don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, we know the students in our program and in general who are the most successful are those who aren't afraid to seek help when they need it. And that transition from high school to college can be a tough one, in that most successful college students were great high school students who didn't have to ask for as much help. But everyone needs to ask for help in college, because there's something you're not good at that you're going to learn. So the students who do the best are those who aren't afraid to ask for help, aren't afraid to use the support that's available, and again, find those places where they can find belonging and find a sense of community, so that they feel like college is a continuation of the journey, not a shift away from what they've been up to.
Yeah, like Sister Marianne said, my 6th grade teacher used to say, no question is a stupid question.
Absolutely.
Unless you don't ask it. You know, so get out there and be a part of it. So yeah, exciting stuff there at College Possible. Thank you for the work that you do out there in the community and the people that you touch, and keep it up, all right?
Of course, thanks so much.
Seth, thank you so much.
Yeah.
When we return, we'll meet an emerging scholar practitioner in higher education and a writer who co-authored a chapter in the upcoming book, Black Male Student Success from Preschool to PhD. Meet Mauriell Amechi next on Urban Perspectives.
Hey everyone, if you're a high school student who's interested in audio engineering, producing, or singing, you name it, we got it. High School for Recording Arts, the place for you, design your education. Think about it, science, technology, basketball, or just plain being you. To learn more, visit us in person or on our website at www.hsra.org. HSRA, design your own education and be the real you. Family, respect, community, and education.
What word spells you?
INTREPIDITY. Intrepidity. Resolutely courageous.
STALWART. Stalwart, steadfast, and uncompromising.
PASSIONATE. Passionate. Showing a strong belief.
Proud. Represent. Assertive.
Bodacious.
Humble.
Enthusiasm. Unique.
Ameliorate, to make great.
To be great. Aquila and the Bee.
Visit childrenstheater.org today.
Thank you for joining us on Urban Perspectives as we look at the importance of educating our communities. My next guest has a BA and an MA in higher education and student affairs. He is also a PhD candidate at UW-Madison Department of Education, Leadership, and Policy. He's a native of Chicago and currently serves as the inaugural director of CORE 2025 program at the University of Minnesota. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Mauriell Amechi. How you doing, Mauriell?
Good.
Good.
Thank you for having me here today.
Well, we saw you make a presentation at the CORE launch, and it was fantastic. And then, of course, being from Chicago, we had to have you on. You're doing such great stuff. That's what the program's about. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit and explain to our audience what the CORE 2025 program means and what its mission is.
Yes. The CORE 2025 program is a early outreach, high-touch cohort pipeline program that seeks to identify high-achieving multicultural students in the state. The goal of this program is to increase the number of in-state multicultural students that attend the University of Minnesota annually by the year 2025.
Yeah. So you talked about the acronyms for CORE, meaning?
Yes, so CORE is an acronym for Community Outreach, Retention, and Engagement, in that this program is operationalized in conjunction with the CORE Program Office and the Office for Equity and Diversity and the Office of the President at the University of Minnesota.
Fantastic. I've been watching you and kind of doing a little research on your Facebook page. You will always with a lot of young people, as young students. Is that program really about what you are and getting this position? How did it make you feel?
It made me feel very honored, and to see just my life go full circle, because in terms of looking at my early childhood, I was one of those students that was a part of these early outreach programs, like TRIO on the west side of Chicago, and to see myself in a position where I can give back and really support students in their transition to high school and to their transition to college. I'm really, really honored to be in this role.
Oh, great. What traditionally has been the roadblock, you think, Mauriell, to success for college careers for African American males in particular?
Yes. We know from a significant body of research that high attrition, underrepresentation, and severe disengagement among black males are pervasive issues across a range of institutions of higher education, especially predominantly white institutions. We also know that some black male students enter college and face the reality that they are underprepared for the rigors of college level work. However, even academically high achieving and engaged black males face a unique set of barriers navigating the campus climate. For instance, even once a black male student becomes engaged on campus and understands how to be savvy in the college setting, they may encounter barriers in terms of negative perceptions about their intellectual abilities, racial stereotyping, discrimination, and other forms of discrimination that limit their ability to succeed in college as well.
Yeah. So you coordinate the Huntley House, which we saw for African American male students. How important is this kind of environment to helping them successfully be engaged in college?
Yes. Connecting back to the fact that a lot of black male students are underrepresented on college campuses. Here at the University of Minnesota, black students represent less than 5% of the student body. So the Huntley House plays a critical role in facilitating a sense of belonging
and connectedness for African American males on campus. This year we have approximately 30 first year and upper class students that are going to be involved, and I'm excited to be a part of facilitating their academic and social development in their first year and continuing years in college.
Yes, that's great, man. Now, who inspired your journey, Mauriell, from preschool to a successful PhD candidate?
Yes. Well, when I think back, the earliest influence in my life has been my late grandmother, Easley Langston, who adopted me and 4 of my siblings and sacrificed the last years of her life to make sure that we had a stable childhood. You may not know, but a lot of foster youth, former foster youth, encounter a lot of barriers navigating their path in education, and I feel that my pathway was strengthened by the fact that I had someone in my family who cared for me and adopted me and cared for me until she, passed away my senior year of high school. So having my grandmother around was definitely a motivation for me to do well in college once she was no longer around. And I still feel that she's a big inspiration in my life journey as well.
That's great, that's great. Now, in your opinion, as we close, what is the key ingredient to attracting and retaining African American college students?
I feel that throughout every level of education, I've always had teachers, mentors, staff members who have high expectations of me, and that has always motivated me to do well despite whatever obstacles I face. So even currently, my advisor at the University of Wisconsin, Dr. Johannah Jackson, has set a bar high for me, and I'm continue to work hard and put in the work to make sure that I continue to exceed his expectations and my own for myself.
So find a good mentor.
Yes.
Mentors step up.
Yes.
And Mauriell, we thank you so much for your work, for your journey, and we've got your back. Let us know what we can do and keep up what you're doing, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Mauriell Amechi. Thank you for watching Urban Perspectives. I'd like to thank our sponsors, UCare, the High School for Recording Arts, Children's Theater Company, my guest, our shining star, and you, the audience, for getting up and helping Urban Perspective be Emmy nominated this year. Visit our website at urbanperspectives.tv for information on our guests and for links to previous broadcasts. And you can help us grow by liking our Facebook page and post your comments on the show. Remember, there are so many amazing people and positive stories in our cities. Watch for them right here on Urban Perspectives. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes, and I will see you next week. Stay with you.